in the land of ancient Britannia, amidst the verdant hills and mist-shrouded landscapes, a formidable Celtic queen emerged as a symbol of defiance against the might of the Roman Empire. Her name was Boudica, a warrior queen of the Iceni tribe, dwelling in the region that is now East Anglia, England. In the mid-1st century AD, her story unfolded as a tale of resilience, betrayal, and a fierce rebellion that would echo through the annals of history. Boudica's narrative began to unfold with the death of her husband, Prasutagus, who had cunningly sought to secure his family's future by bequeathing his kingdom jointly to his daughters and the Roman Emperor Nero. However, the Romans, ever hungry for expansion and control, saw an opportunity to exploit. Instead of respecting Prasutagus' wishes, they seized the Iceni lands, subjected Boudica and her daughters to grievous mistreatment, and unleashed a torrent of injustice upon the proud Celtic tribe. Fueled by a burning desire for vengeance and justice, Boudica rose from the ashes of her personal tragedy, transforming into a charismatic and determined leader. With a fervent sense of purpose, she rallied not only her own Iceni people, but also other Celtic tribes, forging an alliance against the oppressive Roman forces. Together, they became an indomitable force, united by a shared vision of liberation and the dream of reclaiming their homeland. The year was AD 60 or 61, and the Celtic Queen's rebellion ignited a series of events that would leave an indelible mark on the pages of history. The Roman settlements of Camulodunum, Londinium, and Veriomaeum bore witness to the fury of Boudica's forces as they swept through, leaving destruction and flames in their wake. The rebellion, a fiery storm of Celtic defiance, challenged the seemingly invincible might of the Roman legions. Before we dive into the full details of Boudica's story, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel. By doing so, you will never miss an update and receive a notification when we upload new videos. Thank you for your support, and now let's proceed. Boudica is believed to have been born around AD 30 into an elite family in southeast England. Most of the information about her comes from two Roman historians, Tacitus and Cassius Dio. In AD 43, Emperor Claudius mounted an invasion force and successfully conquered southern Britain. In AD 48, at the age of 18, Boudica married Prasutagus, the king of the Iceni tribe, whose lands occupied what is now modern-day Norfolk. It is believed Prasutagus submitted to Claudius after the AD 43 invasion and had been permitted to continue to rule as an independent ally of Rome. Boudica gave birth to two daughters, whose names are unknown, and she remained at Prasutagus' side until his death from illness. In his will, he left half of his kingdom and possessions to his daughters and the other half to Emperor Nero. It was an attempt to appease Rome whilst at the same time preserving his own family dynasty. The plan backfired, and the Romans ignored his wishes and decided to call in debts that the late king had accumulated. The lands and property of leading Iceni tribesmen were confiscated, and the people stripped of their ally status, effectively reducing them to the level of slaves. When Boudica protested the move, she was publicly stripped and flogged, and her two daughters raped by Roman soldiers. Boudica swore revenge and began to muster an army to rebel against her oppressive new masters. Cassius Dio described Boudica as very tall, with long, tawny-colored hair, highly intelligent, and equipped with a fierce look and authoritative voice. Like other Celtic women, Boudica had been trained as a warrior, so she knew how to fight. The Iceni joined forces with the neighboring Trinovantes and, along with other tribes, combined to make an army of around 100,000 Britons, all under the command of Boudica. In AD 60 or 61, when the Roman governor of Britain, Gaius Suetonius Paulinus, was away campaigning on the island of Mona and Bonna Anambwesi in North Wales, Boudica and her army began their uprising. First, they marched on Camulodunum, modern Colchester, which was the provincial Roman capital of Britain at the time. The town lay virtually unprotected, defended only by a small number of veteran soldiers. So, Boudica's army laid waste to the town, burning it to the ground, massacring its inhabitants and pro-Roman Britons alike, and decapitating a bronze statue to the Emperor Nero. The Roman 9th Legion, under the command of Quintus Petilius Cerealis, attempted to relieve the city, but Boudica routed the advancing army and annihilated most of the legion. Londinium, that's modern-day London, the trade centre of the Roman Empire in Britain, now lay ahead. By this time, Suetonius had got word of the revolt and began marching his troops back down south. He arrived at Londinium before Boudica, however. The settlement was poorly fortified, and with just a few thousand men, Suetonius decided to abandon the town to the rebels. Londinium suffered the same fate of Camulodunum, with Boudica's forces razing it to the ground and killing and torturing anyone who had failed to evacuate. Vulamium would be their next target, and again Suetonius refused to defend the town, leaving it to be freely sacked, burned and obliterated by the Warrior Queen. Accounts suggest that between 70,000 and 80,000 people were killed when Boudica destroyed those three settlements. Nero was said to be contemplating pulling out of Britain altogether. Although Boudica's army had now grown even larger, her campaign of revenge was about to come to an abrupt end as the Romans started regrouping. Suetonius regrouped his forces and amassed an army of around 10,000 men. A master of military tactics, Suetonius designed a plan that would effectively eliminate his enemy's numerical advantage. He chose a steep-sided narrow gorge with woods protecting his rear as the spot to make his stand, denying the rebels the chance to exploit their superior numbers. Although the location of the final battle is unknown, historians have suggested it could have taken place along the Roman road, now known as Watling Street, somewhere most likely in the West Midlands. Before the battle commenced, Tacitus records that Boudica addressed her troops in a speech. And here it goes. It is not as a woman descended from noble ancestry, but as one of the people that I am avenging lost freedom, my scourged body, the outraged chastity of my daughters. Roman lust has gone so far that not our very persons, nor even age or virginity, but heaven is on the side of a righteous vengeance. A legion which dared to fight has perished. The rest are hiding themselves in their camp or are thinking anxiously of flight. This is a woman's resolve. As for men, they may live and be slaves. However, Boudica's opposition was better trained, better disciplined, and better equipped. The rebels had also made the fateful decision of encircling their rear with their families, wagons, and animals, preventing any escape once the battle had been lost. In the end, her troops were slaughtered almost to the last, whilst the Romans, according to Tacitus, suffered just a few hundred casualties. Cassius, Dio, and Tacitus differ on what happened next to the Warrior Queen. Dio says she fell ill and died after the battle, whilst Tacitus says she poisoned herself. Nothing in the histories tells of what happened to her two daughters. The Romans had quelled the rebellion and secured southern Britain. Publius Petronius Tefilianatus replaced Suetonius as governor and took a more conciliatory approach. In the decades that followed, however, the Romans continued their expansion northwards into Wales and towards Scotland. Though Boudica ultimately failed in her quest to rid Britain of the Romans, she is still celebrated today as a national heroine and a symbol of freedom, justice, and courage in the face of tyranny.